Hello and welcome to One on One. The Olympic Games have always been an important part of modern Korean history, ever since Son Gi-jung won the marathon in 1936 Berlin Games. Then in 1988, Seoul was able to host the Games itself, a game which is recorded as one of the most successful in Olympic history. There were many people who were responsible for this success, but the person we're about to meet perhaps made the single most important contribution to the success. And as you will see, he is one of the best embodiments of the Olympic ideals itself. Now allow me to introduce to you our guest.
The whole world became one, regardless of race or ideology, in the 1988 Olympics. And at the Olympics, the World Sports Festival, Korea has consistently ranked in the top 10 nations in the last 6 years. Behind all of this, there has been the elder statesman of Korean sports, Kim Won-yong. These athletes, standing at attention and then bowing according to the Korean words 차려, 경례, have gathered from all over the world to compete in Taekwondo. Born to a rich landlord, he has lived up to his name, Unyong, meaning a dragon above the clouds. He has exercised strong influence over the world of sports thanks to his excellent diplomatic skills. Kim has served at embassies throughout the world and with the United Nations. He entered the world of sports as a president of the Korean Taekwondo Association in 1974. Today, he is regarded as its leader.
Dr. Kim, first of all, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
And sharing this time with us. Let me first start by congratulating you on getting re-elected to the IOC's executive board member. First, let's start with the Olympics. What do you think? I mean, Olympic is becoming increasingly popular. Many countries are now trying to host it. Korea has already had the wonderful experience of hosting the '88 Olympics. What do you think it is about Olympics that appeals to the people world over?
Olympic ideals and Olympic movement and Olympic Games have to be all clarified. They are a little bit different. Olympism is a combination of culture, sports, and education, while Olympic movement is a movement where people always aspire for a better life, more friendly world, and more peaceful world. As the economy develops and dwellings, clothing, and food problem are all solved, people's time tend to be diverted to culture, sports, and recreation. Naturally, it becomes an important part of human life and becoming a social movement, always trying for not only in physical excellence but also for a better life and more peaceful world and more friendly world. That's why Olympic is becoming important part of social movement. And Olympic movement also is something as a social movement always trying hard to have a better and more friendly world. Olympic Games are games that gather all the youth of the world every 4 years.
Right.
It's to be largest festival of mankind in peacetime, gathering all the youth who will shoulder the responsibility of the future of the world and gather and exchange their ideas regardless of religion, sex, human race, etc. So that is Olympic Games.
Right. So actually then IOC represents, the International Olympic Committee actually represents both the movement as well as the games.
Okay. IOC is the custodian of Olympic Games and the highest authority of the Olympic movement, promotes Olympic movement for the whole world, in the world through national Olympic committees and also international federations and through IOC members in different countries.
So it's not simply a sports organization as we would people would normally think.
Okay,
of it.
I said Olympic Games is the largest festival of mankind in peacetime.
Right.
It's not only sports, as you see in the Olympic Games. It has, as Olympism is combination of culture and education and sports. Olympic Games is the largest festival of all aspects. A country like Korea, which has organized as 16th country of 198 nations, has organized one of the most successful games, the largest festival of mankind, we call. Accomplished many things in political, economic, social, cultural, sports, academic, scientific, mass media, broadcasting, written press, and all fields. So that's why I say it's largest festival of mankind.
So in effect, the International Olympic Committee is not simply a sports organization as some people would understand it to be.
International Olympic Committee is the custodian of Olympic Games, and it promotes Olympic movement and upholds Olympic ideals through national Olympic committees, international federations, and IOC members in different countries, and through Olympic family. I said Olympic Games, the largest festival of mankind in peacetime. It's more than just sport events. It incorporates political, economic, scientific, cultural, sports, mass media, medical, all fields, which Korea has done also as 16th nation among 198 NOCs, organizing one of the most successful Olympic Games, gathering all the youth of the world together and also exposing Olympic movement in action through television to 3 billion people. That is Olympic Games. So IOC devotes mostly through sports, promotes this Olympic ideals and promotes Olympic movement.
I see. Can you give us some, Koreans are all interested about how Seoul was selected as the site for 88 Olympics, and it from what we understand, it was a very dramatic process by which that decision was arrived.
Well, when Seoul was given the right to host the 88 Olympics, Seoul was in very difficult positions, divided land with not many diplomatic relations with
with the rest of the
socialist countries and with less economic potential compared with Japan. But Seoul was lucky. There was only one opponent, Nagoya, Japan. It was really not Olympic Games given to a city, but it was a competition between Nagoya and Korea. It was not really Japan and Korea in a sense. Seoul, behind Seoul there was a whole nation. Behind Nagoya was only by Nagoya people. So it was no competition. Seoul was lucky, and IOC made the right decision. Seoul organized so far one of the most successful Olympic Games and gathered both East and West after 12 years of boycott, and Korea, after it accomplished many things in political, economic, cultural, social, academic, diplomatic, medical, scientific, broadcasting, etc., and then based upon this accomplishment jumped off to the rest of the world, and where Korea is today as a member of Security Council, UN Security Council.
It's the 11th largest
yes,
trading
and the 11th largest trading partner, and also a member of OECD, WTO, and member of UN Economic and Social Council, and organizing World Cup, Japan, Korea co-hosting, or another Asian Games in Busan, hoping to organize another summer and winter Olympics. So that's where Korea is today, and that's what Olympic did to Korea, and what Korea made out of Olympics to jump to the rest of the world.
You make it sound as if it all happened together, but I was wondering, for you personally, I mean, it seems to me that you thought that this was important enough to devote your life to it much earlier than anybody else had realized it.
Okay, this is what Olympic Games does to a small country like Korea or Spain, maybe to Greece. Okay, it's the largest festival of mankind, contributing a lot to human civilization, and it gives pride and unity to a nation, and based upon this unity and pride, country accomplished much, as Tokyo Olympics did to Japanese in political, economic, cultural, social, many fields. And based upon this accomplishment, the country takes off. That's what Korea did, and that's what Japan did, and that's what Spain wanted to do. And once they do that, they continue to contribute to human civilization and the rest of the world. So that is what Olympic does. And for me, as a sportsman, Olympic is naturally what I uphold utmost in my heart as something good for mankind.
What was it about Taekwondo that made you think that this really is what represents Korea?
I did some Taekwondo in the first place, and then I thought Taekwondo is a superb sport that could be developed into a world sport with Korean tradition and martial arts spirit and tradition there. And what I had to do was make it a universal sport, and with universal rules, and offer them to the rest of the world. If they accept it, then it will succeed. If they don't accept, they will not succeed. So what I did was develop Taekwondo, look at all other sports, take all of the good rules and things, and make our own and offer them to the world, and the world accepted, fortunately. That's what I did.
What do you think personally was that appeals most to Western
Taekwondo,
audiences or people about Taekwondo?
Taekwondo has martial arts spirit and tradition. You want to make good human beings, physically excellent and also mentally very solid. Also, Taekwondo technique is a very superb as an action sport. Those are two factors, and also our instructors abroad did very good job. They worked very hard to propagate Taekwondo to Western. And Westerns like action sports, so they accepted. But Seoul did a lot to organize Taekwondo, an organized approach, analytical approach.
That must have been an amazing journey, and you must have felt, you know, your own personal achievement, but it was, in a sense, it went right along with growth of our nation as well.
People say Taekwondo did in 20 years what other sports did in 100 years. Or they also say in the past the West developed sports and exported to the East, but now the East developed sport and export to the West. The first success is judo, and second one is Taekwondo. But we have a long way to go.
Yes. Did you always think that you were going to be in the sports?
No.
What was your original goal?
My original goal was to become a diplomat when I when Korea became independent, all youngsters with new emergence of a new nation had lots of dreams, and my dream was to become a diplomat and represent my country in diplomatic field, represent our interest. So I entered Yonsei University political science and diplomacy department. But when I was getting ready for civil service exams, Korean War broke out.
I see.
And I had to go to a battlefield. So it changed. But my philosophy always, if you don't get the first objective, you have to try for the second. Later I became diplomats. I became ambassador, I became special ambassador, I became UN delegate, and I'm doing enough bigger diplomatic activities as IOC members, so I'm satisfied. A lot of my classmates who went to normal field, I went to foreign service later, but they all are retired now. I'm still active duty.
You're still very young.
So you never know which is better.
So tell us a little bit about, I understand you went to the United States when you were still very young, in around 1955 and 1956.
Yes.
It must have been very difficult to go to the States at the time. Not too many people did. And what was the occasion by which you were given this opportunity?
No, after war ended, as war was coming down, many people went to the States. That was a big fever in those days. I was one of them. But I went to Texas because I wanted to study Spanish language also.
Wow. Why Spanish?
Because I had a very strong inclination to study Spanish other than
than English.
English.
Was
yes.
it something literature that you've read, or?
Yeah, I couldn't go to Spain, so nearest place was to go to Texas.
I see. That's fascinating. Okay. So then, when you came back, did you go into the foreign service, diplomatic service?
Government service. Yes.
Government service.
Yes. I was in Prime Minister's office.
Oh, I see.
And also Foreign Minister's office.
I see. And then why did you switch to sports diplomacy?
Sports, and then I went abroad and came back, and somehow I got involved in sports. And I left government, so I stayed with sports. But still, I'm involved in government.
You are,
in many
yes.
functions.
Yes. But was there a particular reason you decided to leave the government?
Things don't go as you planned. You plan, you don't get it, you have next plan, and you'll do your best. Important thing is that you do your best for your objective. If you are leading a meaningful life for your purpose and objective, and you choose, if not the first but second alternative, that's what I like to tell always my alumni, juniors or friends, that they should never give up. There might be war, there might be frustration, but you never lose your hope, and then you go to then you never know, second alternative might be better than first one.
Right. Yes. But you've shown through your own life this area in, it could be called a career, but an area that most Korean young people did not really know existed until recently, which is that the sports diplomacy, that area of international organizations, which was rather unknown. And now, because of this great increase in the importance of sports in the world arena, people are beginning to realize that this exists. And of course, you are the best example for many people, youngsters.
I said earlier that as the economy develops and dwellings, clothing and food problems are solved, time goes to recreation, sports and culture. In 20th century, they say sport is most positive social movement.
Yes.
And also they say Olympic movement is most positive Olympic movement. Why? Because sports cannot solve all the problems of mankind, but it certainly influences a lot in solving lots of problems. And therefore Olympic movement, as it always tries for higher, faster, stronger, not only in physical excellence, but also for better, more friendly solidarity and a more peaceful world, and better life. It becomes a very important part of. In my school days, maybe sports were done only by those who wouldn't study very hard, who have a big muscle and who punch weaklings in neighborhood a lot, but it's different. We cannot solve all the problems with sports, but it certainly helps a lot. Like media, which was different in 1950s. Nowadays, it's most positive, fastest developing area. Sports needs media, media needs sports. They go together fastest.
You know, ordinary people rarely have a chance to really see the inner workings of these major organizations such as the IOC, and of course you are right in the middle of the organization. Is there any interesting behind-the-scenes stories, for instance, you can tell us about how Athens came to be
As Olympic Games, as the largest festival, give big tools for a country to push whatever they would like to accomplish, infrastructures, etc. And no Olympic Game city ever lost money, actually, whether they put money in construction of subway or whether they put money in organization or operation. Those where they put this money in, they say they lost money, but actually they all made money and developed the country. That's why so many countries, every time when there is a decision, bid or apply for the right to host the games. This time we had 11 cities.
Wow.
But Evaluation Commission visited these 11 cities, and 5 cities of Athens, Rome, Buenos Aires, Cape Town, and then Stockholm came to Lausanne for final selection. And every time, because it's so important, king or head of the states or prime minister come to lead the delegations to speak why they need, they should get the games. This time, President Mandela represented Cape Town, and President Menem led Buenos Aires, and Prime Minister Persson led Stockholm, for example, and Rome was led by Deputy Premier, but Pavarotti also came to speak. This way it's a national effort.
It is.
But finally, when President Juan Antonio Samaranch of IOC announced opening the result of the vote, he said the city of Athens received the right to host 2004 Olympics. I think those cities, all 5 cities are good, with a lot of facilities, a lot of infrastructure, a lot of economic capabilities and organizational capability, all good. All have some justification why Africa, for African continent for the first time as emerging continent and nations, and Buenos Aires, South America never had it, and Buenos Aires really beautiful and well-prepared city, and Athens as the birthplace of Olympic ideals, and they lost it 1996, centenary Olympic Games to Atlanta. Rome, after Rome 2000, they want to organize again the best games ever. Stockholm, they want to organize environmental, ecology-oriented, well-organized games. They could really do it. Stockholm, all 5 cities could. But finally it went to Athens. newspaper reports many different gossips, but I think Athens got it because they wanted to give games back to birthplace of Olympic ideals once, because they feel sorry they lost centenary games to Atlanta.
Yes.
But all 5 cities worked hard. I think I hear Busan also wants to bid for 2008 summer, and the city of Muju would like to bid for 2010 Winter Olympics. But I think they have to really work hard.
Have there been many countries which actually had more than one city host the games?
Yes, there are cities that hosted 2 times, and but in the past. But now it's getting more and more difficult because each time 11 cities, 10 cities. Already we hear for 2008 Peking might bid, Osaka already decided bid, Busan is trying, and I heard London will try, and South Africa will try, Paris might try, or Istanbul might try, and so on. But in 1999 IOC session to be held in Seoul will select a city to organize 2006 Winter Olympics.
There is an interesting story behind his piano playing. His wife fell in love with him when she heard him playing the instrument. She was a piano major at that time. Now they have created a family in harmony. She is my most reliable supporter, publicity personnel, and the friend who knows me best. This is how he described his wife in his autobiography. He lives abroad for more than half of the year as the second highest ranking sports figure in the world. What makes this possible is his wife, who supported him with her thoroughly traditional ways and their happy and stable family.
Dr. Kim, I'd like to continue our conversation by starting out on a more personal note first. I understand you have family, you have 3 children, and Mrs. Kim is a rather well-known personality in her own right in Korea. Could you tell us about your family?
Well, our family has very strong bonds to each other. And my wife is a typical Oriental housewife, dedicated to taking care of husband and children. She majored in piano, but she didn't become pianist. Instead, she became very dedicated housewife, very modest and typical of everything Oriental lady would have. And I have 1 boy and 2 girls, 1 son and 2 daughters actually. Son is a graduate of Yonsei University and Clark University in the States, and now he's in business in New York City. His wife runs a musical institute in Long Island, very successful.
I see.
And I have a daughter who is a lawyer in the States, but now working at law firm called Linklaters and Paynes in London as a solicitor. Also, I have another daughter who is a very well-known pianist, Kim Hye-jung. She stays in New York City, but she travels around a lot to perform a concert.
So you have actually a very musical family, and you're playing piano. Was that because of Mrs. Kim, or did you play piano before you met her?
No, I played piano. I studied piano when I was a little boy, and one time I wanted to become a pianist. So this is coincidence that family is not really musical family, but my elder solista daughter also studied professionally music one time, a piano rather. So we love music.
So when your family members get together, do you actually play for each other?
No, when I was in diplomatic service, after dinner I played piano sometimes, and then my two daughters also did duet playing piano, etc. But no more. We are all scattered.
I see. You must be very, very, very proud. Speaking of being proud, what you've been part of many very proud moments for the Korean people in modern history, especially in sports events. But for you yourself personally, what was your most proudest moment?
Personally, when I was elected as member of the International Olympic Committee, representing IOC and also to some extent representing Korea in promotion of Olympic movement in the world, that was personally the happiest moment. But also my happiest or proudest moment was when we closed the games of the 24th Olympiad in Seoul in 1988, because it was very, very difficult to organize the games as a divided country in those years. But we finally, I felt we are satisfied by organizing games successfully, putting something for Korean people on record in history of the world. That was the most proudest moment.
In making all of this possible, actually, there's one person in international sports arena, particularly the president of the IOC, Mr. Samaranchi, who I understand is not only a close personal friend of yours, but he's always had a very special relationship with Korean people in general, I think. And could you tell us more about him and his relationship?
Well, I said Korean Games was very difficult ones to organize, but he helped, of course, Korean people worked very hard, but he helped a lot, and together we organized one of the most successful Olympic Games in Olympic history. We have Baron Pierre de Coubertin, founder of the modern Olympics, but after him, President Juan Antonio Samarang, he's the one in his mandate put Olympic movement to a new millennium. Now Olympic Games, sport is one of the most positive social element and movement. And Olympic movement is a very positive movement in 21st century, gathering whole youth of the whole world together and always pushing them to higher, faster, stronger, not only physical excellence, but also together to work for better life, more friendly world and more peaceful world. And he put IOC on solid grounds financially, politically, and sport-wise, and he's admired by many people. So he always calls himself a conductor of the orchestra, so I'm one of the orchestra and he's a conductor. We work together very closely, and he loves Korea. He loves Korean people because Korean people work very hard for the Olympic movement, for the country, very diligent, very highly intellectual, and also accomplished something great as a divided nation, organizing most successful games in the history. And he loves Korea. He came back to Korea about 28 times, and he says this is the second country, like his own country, next to Spain. Yes.
You know, in speaking of the president of the IOC, I cannot help but ask you, I don't like to put you in a difficult position if by any means, but many people, both inside and outside of Korea, speculate about the next president of the IOC after Mr. Samaranch retires. And many people speculate that you are at least one of the most likely successors of him. Tell us about the procedures by which the IOC president is elected, and perhaps something about the possibility of yourself getting elected?
Right now, President Samarang was elected for another term, another 4 years, and he will lead the Olympic movement through 21st century. And we are very happy he is re-elected to lead the Olympic movement once more. But hypothetically, foreign press talk a lot about successor because they have to think about it, and they mention few names, and I'm one of them. But of course, I always say it's up to the heaven. Yes. All we should do is to work very hard for the Olympic movement.
Yes, yes. And when would you have to decide? When does the IOC have
the
to
process
decide
is for after Samarang's term expires, there should be election, and whoever gets majority would be elected.
Majority of the
IOC session.
IOC session.
You have to have 51%, 50%, a little more than 50%.
Yes, I see. I think one factor in bringing all of that about would be the increasing prestige of at least the South Korea's position in the world sporting. All of us know that you have been contributed the most to improving our position in the world sports arena. But what do you foresee as some of the limits still that Korean sports have to overcome in order to become truly internationalized?
Well, 30 years ago, our women did better than men in sports, and we were limited in small numbers of sports. And they didn't think they would organize the Olympic Games, but they hoped to organize Asian Games one day, and they didn't want to lose too much to Japan, or they didn't want to. They always wanted to win North Korea. This was the situation, and they really hoped to get one gold medal in 30 years, which they did in 30 years. But now, in competitiveness in sports, Korea normally finishes 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th place, at least within 10th place.
Yes.
And they do very well in many sports, including women's team sports like women's handball, women's hockey, which they couldn't even dream of in the past. And in many sports they are in top brackets of the world. That's in competition. Also, they organize many games, like they finished Universiade Winter Games in Muju very successfully. They have organized the East Asia Games in Busan in May very successfully. They will have to organize Winter Asian Games in Yongpyong in '99 and also 2002 Busan Asian Games. And Japan, Korea hosting of 2002 World Cup football. And now Busan and Muju hope to bid for 2008 Summer Games and 2010 Winter Games. So life goes on, and also we will organize IOC Executive Board meeting next year in '98 in Seoul, in connection with 10th anniversary of success of the Seoul Games. And also in 1999 we'll be organizing IOC session, which is very, very big one, and which will decide winter organizing city of the 2006. So Korea is not only strong in competition in sports, but also in contribution to Olympic movement and the sports development. They are doing a lot. Although Korea still needs to develop sports like athletics and swimming and gymnastics. Those are what they call basic
track and field.
Yes, athletic.
Yes.
So these have to yet come. They finished 7th, 8th place. Without these sports that have about 100 gold medals, not only medals, but so those areas they have to really develop. Although another point I have to mention is inclusion of Taekwondo as official sport in Olympics. It means Korea will get a couple of more medals, but also they have succeeded in putting Korean culture in world culture, which will stay a long time. And these are what I can cite as a position of Korean sport. But Korean sport will continue to do this, to develop sports and develop national strength, and also contribute to the Olympic movement in the world. The same thing, do better, work harder. That would be.
Would there be anything that you would like to ask of the government to do differently or do more in terms of helping you and the Korean IOC achieve these goals?
Well, anybody would want to get more help, but I think Korean government and Korean people are doing enough and have done enough for sports. Maybe one day, if economy allows, Korean government should build more sport facilities for the people of the people of Korea. They can build a swimming pool, skating links, open arena for soccer and athletics, and indoor gyms for people's health. These they can do.
Yes, exactly, and that's given the kind of achievements that our athletes have been making in the world sports arena. It seems like our facilities are way poorer than one would actually imagine.
Well, compared with the rest of the world, not up to that standard. And but Korean government has many things to do and many areas to spend. So I think it takes time. But if you ask me questions, what they can do. In addition to facilities for the elite athletes who are all trained in my training center in Taenung, for the people as advanced, developed economic power, which must care for the welfare of the people, culture, recreation, sports, it will be very desirable to see more, not expensive, but just flat grounds where you can enjoy, play football or gateball or athletics, running, and also indoor gyms for exercise or skating rink, or all these would be much more helpful to the people.
What would you say, wouldn't people actually say that if we wanted to host the Olympics again in 2008, and the Winter Olympics in 2006, are we perhaps being a little too eager, even perhaps
Well, it's a vision of city, country they can have for future, like any other city or any other country, to use this momentum as tools to accomplish many things in many fields based on pride and unity. I cannot stop their visions and their wishes, but and I cannot say it's too early. There's nothing too early, but they have to work very hard because competition is very strong at this time. Normally about 11-12 cities, for example in 2000, you have seen decision-making process in Lausanne for 2004.
Yes.
But for 2008, I believe there might be Shanghai or Beijing or Osaka already decided to bid. Rio de Janeiro, Buenos Aires, maybe South African city, Paris, London, Istanbul. So there will be 11-12 cities again. So just having vision is good, but just having vision is not enough. So they have to work hard to build facilities, build up experience, and expose their capabilities and lobby, explain what they can accomplish. And the world has to accept That's big job.
You've already actually answered what I was going to ask you next, which is what your future plans are. And obviously there's just so much going on in Korean sports and international sports that you need to take care of. But as a final question, what are some of your more immediate goals and perhaps long-term dreams?
Well, my goal is to work very hard and discharge my responsibilities. I think second-class effort is first-class failure. Anything I do, I have to work very hard and finish in first class. I will continue to work for Olympic movement as IOC leadership, and also I will also work very hard to keep Korean sports in the top few countries in the world, not only in competitions but also in contributions to the Olympic movement. That will be what I will be doing, as always. Yes.
Thank you very much. I really do wish all the best for your personal sake, for our Korea's country's sake, and for the sake of the international Olympic movement itself. And thank you so much for taking out your valuable time to speak with us today.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.